everybody! Today I'm going to be walking you through how I am going to create a sort of like crop top with a lettuce hem on it. And this is something I've been seeing a lot throughout the past few years. I would say this has been a pretty popular style for quite a while. I've seen a few other people make videos on how to do this, but recently, I don't know, I've been trying to branch out with my style. So I decided I wanted to try making one of these types of tops myself. And I thought it would be fun to walk you through how I do this myself. So I'm going to start out showing you the fabric that I'm planning on using. And it is this striped rib knit. This is a, I think it's like 50-50 recycled poly and recycled cotton, and I got it at Blackbird Fabrics with a gift card I got from my parents for my birthday, which was super cool. Yeah, so I actually have 2 meters of this, which would be like more than enough for this shirt for sure. And I'm going to see if I can also squeeze out another top with the same fabric, which may or may not be possible, but we will see. I am the self-proclaimed queen of pattern Tetris though. Actually, with the last fabric, striped fabric that I got from Blackbird, I had originally ordered 3 meters, but they didn't have enough of it or for whatever reason, and so they emailed me and I was like, and they're like, we're only sending you 1.5 meters, and I was like, okay, whatever. So my plan originally was to make my husband a t-shirt and then myself a matching shirt that was it's like a Nico top, but I wanted it to be short sleeved. Well, I was able to manage to do that without the sleeves for my shirt. Because I make so many things for myself and not for other people. I wanted to make sure my husband's shirt was like perfect and I didn't need to do any weirdness with his shirt. So his was all good, and then for my top I pieced together the back of the turtleneck, and then also the turtleneck collar itself I had to piece together as well, and it turned out fine. So I might need to do some weird pattern Tetris, but I will take you along with it or with me for that journey. So you might be able to get some, I don't know, bonus information on how I maximize my fabric pieces, because I really think a lot of the way that the layouts are shown for most of your patterns are not the most efficient way to waste the least amount of fabric. I actually might show a picture in this video, because after I cut out those 2 t-shirts I just had this little handful of scraps, and it was kind of insane. It's really a nice challenge for me, at least personally, to see how much or to see how efficient I can make things. But I'm also just kind of a nerd, so yeah. Yeah, so that's my fabric. Before we get into things, I just wanted to mention, whenever you have your fabric ready, I think the #1 thing you want to do is test out your method. I'm going to probably pop in a little bit later on in the process and show you specifically what the settings I end up using on my machine are. But before you even cut out your project, I really would recommend doing a test on the real fabric that you're planning on using to make sure that you like the way the lettuce hem looks. I think testing is so important when you're sewing. You really don't want to just go straight in, especially with the serger, because you end up cutting off some of the fabric and you really can't go back. So I trimmed off this little corner right here, if you can see, and I did a few tests, and I came up with something that I really liked. So here's some of the original tests, and then I think my final lettuce hem is going to be this top one. And I really recommend you test it out on your personal machine, obviously. I mean, that should go without saying. Even if you have the same model as somebody else's machine, things can, I don't know, just there can be weird things. Maybe, I don't know, you have the tension set differently than somebody else. There's just a I don't know, there's a myriad of reasons why it could look differently, or like a certain setting could look different for you than for somebody else. So testing out, super important. Do it first thing just to make sure you are able to replicate what you want your end product to look like, and then like take a picture or write down some notes about those settings, and then you can go on with it. Basically, what you end up needing to do is moving the differential feet all the way down to the bottom setting you can possibly do. Like moving your stitch finger, which is, if you don't know about it, there is a little prong in your serger, and it supports, usually it supports the loops, so that whenever your fabric slides off of, or like whenever your project slides back, it sort of preserves a little bit of width on your stitch for the loopers. Otherwise the tension will just pull it to be as narrow as possible. So with the stitch finger, whenever you disengage that, essentially it just means the stitch will be as narrow as possible, which is what you want. So I said differential feed is at a minimum, stitch length also should be at a minimum, and then the stitch finger. I saw a few things on the internet about using one or the other needles. I tested it out myself with both needles. I tested it out myself using just the left and just the right, and I prefer the way just the right looked. One of the videos I saw said to use just the left, but personally I liked the way that just the right one looked, and it seems secure. Like, if you are doing this for yourself, you really just want to make sure that you like the way it looks, even if somebody else tells you to do XYZ. As long as it's like, doesn't feel like it's gonna come apart, you should be okay, is basically what I'm saying. The only reason why you might like want to, I don't know, avoid a certain setting is if it's like coming apart for whatever reason. And even in that case, it's probably maybe like your machine isn't threaded correctly or something, because I think usually when things come undone, it's like something weird like that. So those are my tips for you. Definitely do your test first, and then you can move on without cutting. What I'm going to do for my project is I'm going to use an existing pattern that I know that I like the fit of, and that is the Greenland Studio Lark t-shirt. You can of course always you know, use the clone method to clone an existing t-shirt that you like. So I'm going to follow this pattern almost exactly. I like this specific neckline, although I may end up needing to bring it in just a little bit to take into account the lettuce hem, because I'm going to do the lettuce hem around the neck, around the arms, and around the bottom hem of the shirt. I'm going to do short sleeves, which I have done before, so I already have that pattern like ready to go for me. The only difference is I'm going to crop it a little bit, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to try that on. So, okay, here I am with my existing t-shirt on. If you're using a brand new pattern that you've never used before, first of all, you should be doing a muslin. I don't always do that, but I would recommend it. And if you are like me and you're very stubborn about muslins, I would recommend putting on an existing t-shirt that you already own and marking your like cutoff spot, or if you already have one that you know you like is the same length that you want for cropping. Just fold it in half and lay it. I would line up the shoulder seams on the front, and then marking using your existing t-shirt instead of on your flat pattern, because it can be kind of hard to judge if you're trying to hold up a paper pattern on your body. So I would definitely recommend, if you can, using an existing t-shirt to sort of judge your cropped level. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to move over to my cutting table, where I'm going to trace off my new version of the pattern, which should just include the front and the back. And then I will be moving on to cutting out my t-shirts. Alright. Okay, so I have my original pattern pieces out. This is actually the boat neck version of the lark tee. I don't know what I did with my original version of the lark tee, but I don't seem to have it, so I'm just going to use my already made t-shirt and reference that collar, or like the neckline. And I know I mentioned possibly bringing it in a little bit, which should definitely be, will definitely be something that I will still want to do, obviously. So since I'm estimating it anyway, I don't think it's as big of a deal to trace it off of my existing t-shirt. I put my pin here, and so that'll be like right around there that I'm going to crop it off. And let me see. I don't know if you can tell, but this pattern does go out a little bit at the hips, so I think I might also straighten this a little bit. And I'm going to do this all by tracing. For now, I'm just going to try to trace off this existing pattern. I'm going to line up the middle of the pattern with the edge so I don't have to trace all that. I'm going to just mark right there, because I know, oh wait, I probably should have moved up my thing. Don't want to waste paper either, so I'm just going to pull this up. I'm going to give it a little bit of safety room, because I don't want it to be too narrow or too short. Okay, so to start out with, I have all my fabric laid out and it's all folded in, so it's doubled over itself, but there is, instead of like folding it half like this, I just folded out the outer 1/4 in towards the middle. And this sort of is a way to cut out, I would say like a lot of t-shirts are very useful to cut out this way because it saves a decent amount of space, especially if your pattern pieces are not that wide. If they're more narrow, this should be great. Okay, so this is the, I don't know, essentially right now what I'm doing is I'm just rough estimating to see if I can like super easily cut these out. And then later I can determine if I need to do some weird Tetrisy type of thing. And the good thing about doing it this way is I can very easily line up the stripes between the two different pieces. So that's like one pattern essentially. So as you can see, that one fits pretty well there. I still have quite a few pattern pieces to go through though, so we'll see how this goes. I still need sleeves for both of them, and I still need a collar for the turtleneck. So I guess I should put the two bigger pieces on first. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend this is in a single, or in a fold layer I mean, where instead of having this thing in the middle, it's folded in half normally. One thing you can do is cut out the front and back pieces like that, and then unfold everything and refold it in half. So I'm just going to pretend that's the case here. We got that. And then I should be able to fit this here somewhere. It's pretty, you know, it seems like it should fit pretty easily, actually. And then let's pretend that's the fold. So, you know, I think we're pretty good. Okay, I'm just going to show you how to cut out one of the body pieces, and this is essentially how I'm going to cut out all of them. So I'm going to start out with one of the Nico top ones. I apologize if it's confusing that I'm using multiple patterns in this, but I really want to make sure that I'm actually able to get the two different shirts out of this one single cut of fabric. And that's something I like to do quite a lot. I end up using the same fabric for multiple projects. I'm going to try to make sure this is as straight as I possibly can. I think what was said in the description for this was that the stripes don't run perfectly perpendicular with the grain line, so I'm following the stripes more than I am the grain line, which is good, or like it is important because it's actually more visible than the grain line. Alright, so I have one half of it done. And then what I need to do is turn the pattern piece over so that it mirrors the current piece. And it should be good. Usually I like to have some way of marking where the corner is. I think I'm just going to use a pen on this side. And I'll just use my pair of scissors on the other side because they're handy. Okay, there we go. So I know this side needs to line up with that. Oh, I forgot to do the hem. Oopsie daisy. Just gotta cut that real quick. Just wondering why I had no other point of reference. I kind of try to like square it up, you know, see where this line, oops, pretty sure that was there. I can always bring it back since I missed it, and then remark it. There we go. Okay, so you can kind of like square it up and see where that point intersects, and square it up this way, and it should line up perfectly. There we go. So that's one way to cut things flat if you don't feel like tracing it off, so that the pattern isn't on the fold. Okay, piece one done. And then I'm going to move the fabric over this way. This one's actually not perfectly matched up on the stripes, which is my bad, but you know, we can't all be perfect. So I'm going to keep this one handy to match up the stripes for the other side and keep going. I feel like this fabric shrinks up so much whenever it's not in its, I don't know, like even pulling it just slightly makes it scrunch up so much. I think what I needed to do to make sure the stripes were perfectly perpendicular, or like, you know, running across correctly, is mark a straight line based off of the center fold. So I use my ruler to make that straight, and then just like essentially draw a line, and then use that to match, or to like cut out my stripes. That would have worked a lot better. Just going to make sure it matches generally with my other piece. Thankfully, these stripes are pretty, like the repeat is pretty small. It doesn't waste too much space to match things up. I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of the cutting. I'm going to do that off camera because my battery is dying, which is super. But I will update you hopefully whenever I have everything cut out. Okay, so I have all of my pieces cut out. For example, here is a sleeve piece for the lettuce hem top I'm making. And so I'm actually in a different location than I normally would be sewing in because actually I don't know if you can even hear, but my husband is gaming with his friends right now. So he's okay with it whenever I sew, and like he's gaming with his friends. It's like the volume isn't too loud, but my serger is just really loud, so I don't want to disturb him. But I thought I would, so I decided to just like bring it out here. This is like his desk that he uses whenever he's working, because we're both working from home right now. I should scoot it over just a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so as you can see, this is my stitch length, and this one's set to the shortest length, which is 1, and then my differential feet is set to 7. And you can see, I don't know if you can or not, but I only have 1 needle in. I haven't actually assembled the top yet, so I'm going to have to undo this setting and rethread. I want to use a 2-thread serger stitch for my construction, just because I prefer. Oh, I should lift up the presser foot. So yeah, I'm just going to rethread this. Shouldn't take terribly long. Alright, so now I'm going to start constructing my tops. So I finished my turtleneck. All I have to do left, or all that's left that I have to do is hem it, but I don't want the lettuce hem on this top, so I'm gonna just do that later off camera. So now it's time to move on to my ruffle hem top. Still have to assemble that like normal. Alright, so the actual t-shirt, or the crop top, is done. I did really well matching up the stripes on this side. Not so much on this side. I mean, they looked a lot worse, but I fixed them a little bit, but it still looks a little weird right here. I don't know. I was just trying to like stretch the fabric. This fabric is very like stretchy, but it doesn't have much recovery, so it's a little tricky to work with. So right now I need to reset my serger to the setting I had it for whenever I was doing the lettuce hem. And so the first step for that is to remove my left needle. Probably should have snipped a thread before trying to do this. So my needles are set. Now I just need to disengage the stitch finger and then move everything down. Now, since I tested this earlier, I am pretty sure this will work, but I'm still going to test it again, just to be safe. So one thing to note that I didn't expect is it felt a little weird. Like it felt like it wasn't doing, like it's gonna move quite slowly. So if you notice that, it's fine, don't worry about it. It's just gonna move very slowly because the stitches are very short, and the differential feed is also very low. And you do want to like stretch it out while you sew, just to get maximum curl. So as you can see, it's moving very slowly, especially in comparison to the long stitch length I was doing earlier. And there's the finished product. I don't know if you can see it very well. It looks a little bit better against the dark backdrop. So yeah, that looks great. So that's exactly what I'm aiming for. Sorry if the AC is very loud. So yeah, this is perfect. I'm going to do that around the sleeves, the bottom hem, and the neckline of my crop top. So I had a little trouble, I don't know if you can see, I had a little trouble being able to finish it off in the round. I think maybe what I need to do is disengage the knife for that section, just to finish off the ends, because I wanted to cut the existing stitch. Although, actually, now that I look at that stitch, didn't look too great. So I think I am fine with cutting it off, starting fresh. Oh, well, oopsie. I was gonna say it looked a lot better, but there was a part that I missed. Yikes. I think it's because the seam is there and it was really bulky. So possibly if I go the opposite direction, right there, it will be fine, question mark? We'll see. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go back to no knife. That's probably the best at this moment. Okay, that worked out a lot better. It looks a little janky under the armpit, but now I know what to do, so next time it shouldn't look quite as lumpy and bumpy. Yeah, what I'm going to do is just disengage the knife whenever I come to back to the start of the round, and it should be a-okay. And I think what I want to do is start the round well before the seam. Still under the armpit, but far enough ahead that I don't have to deal with anything being weird because there's an incline there. Anyway, so it looks like I'm close to back to the beginning, so I'm going to disengage the knife. Try to get this out of the way so it doesn't get shut in there. And I am going to trim off the end of this before I get going again. Yes, that looks so much better. Oh my gosh. The actual end of it is a lot better. I still have had an issue with right near where the seam was, like I did earlier. So I'm going to try again with the no knife to fix that up. I think just in these problem areas, it's probably best to just not use the knife, just to avoid any potential weirdness that could happen because of the knife. Because I know whenever, at least on my serger, whenever I don't have the knife engaged, I can pull everything a little bit further this way, make sure everything gets caught. And I think that's what the issue was before. Okay, so there are a few issues with this. I do think I'm going to replace this neckline with a standard band neckline. I'm pretty sure I have enough fabric for that, thankfully. There's a few other fit issues I want to fix with this. There's like some weird, I don't know, it's like weirdly like bunched up there that I need to re-sew that seam. And then in addition to that, I think I just want to slim down the sides in general. I think with this fabric, since it's like pretty It has a pretty significant stretch. It just looks a lot larger on than my other versions of this shirt, just because the fabrics that I've used in the past for this top have not been quite as stretchy. So I'm going to make those modifications, but I don't know if I really need to show them. They're pretty minor. Oh, another thing I was going to say, I'm planning on also shortening the sleeves. So I pretty much am redoing a couple of things, and that's fine because an experimental thing like this, you should expect a few things to go wrong every now and then. But I will check back in whenever I have my end piece done the way I like it. Alright, see you later. Alright, so here I am a few days later with the completed shirt. I don't know if you can tell the length of it. It lines up pretty exactly with my leggings that I'm wearing and also a lot of the pants that I wear normally. So I did slim it down quite a bit down the sides, and something I noticed while I was doing that is that I think doing the ruffle hem in the round is just generally not the easiest way to do that. So what I would recommend doing if you do a lettuce hem in the future, I think I called it a ruffle hem, which I don't know if that's an official name for it, but it seems like it could be. So yeah, if you do a lettuce hem similar to this, I would recommend hemming everything before you actually assemble it fully, or if you want to test out the fit of something first, you can obviously do that first and then just I don't know, seam rip the very end of it and then hem it and then resew just the last inch or two. That seems to be a lot easier than the approach I was doing, where I was moving the knife up whenever I got to either the point of a seam or the beginning of back to the beginning of the round, essentially. So yeah, those are basically my only things that I would say about the lettuce hem specifically. I like this shirt in general. I think maybe I should have made the neckline just a little bit closer in, but I like it overall. I also have my Nico top to show off. Alright, so here's my Nico top. This one is made just exactly as the pattern says you should make it. I really love this pattern. This is, I think, my fifth? I think it's my fifth version of this pattern. Next, I think I want to make the long dress version. I think that would be super cute for the fall. But for now, I'm just really happy that I was able to get these two different cool tops out of this fabric. Originally, whenever I was going to pick out that fabric, I knew I just wanted the ruffle hem, or I keep on saying that, the lettuce hem top. So I'm really glad I got a bonus thing with this fabric. So yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you try out a lettuce hem, let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are on that style in general. If you think it's fun or if you think it's weird or whatever. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you later. Bye!